Southeast Asian architecture. At that time, having worked with Professor M. Medhaki on it, I came to the firm conclusion that whatever has been omitted by me in regard to the history of the Torana in Indian architecture is for others, and I will never return to Torans. Fanigeri certainly changed my resolve at many levels. The sheer aesthetic value of the Fanigeri Toran and its importance in the history of early Buddhism, not only of South India, but of India and Southeast Asia. And lastly, its very, very unique place in the history of Torana art and architecture. So I will try and tap all these aspects in hopefully 20 minutes. Archaeological excavations during the recent years at the ancient Buddhist site of Fanigeri, located on a hilltop in the Suryapet district of Telangana, have yielded important material for the study of early Buddhist archaeology, history, art, and architecture. This site was first excavated in a preliminary manner in the 1940s, as per Dr. Chennayatti's report. The sculptural and architectural remains from Fanigeri can certainly enhance our understanding of early Andhra Telangana art and provide useful insights into the important role played by this region in pan-Indian and pan-Asian cultural networks during the early centuries. The architectural fragments of a magnificent Torana gateway, that is the Fanigeri site, which I had the good fortune to visit, and I reserve all my gratitude towards the end towards this Telangana State Department of Archaeology and Museums. The architectural fragments of a magnificent Torana gateway, which once stood at Fanigeri, were found during archaeological excavations conducted under the direction of the Telangana State Department of Archaeology and Museums. The Fanigeri Torana holds a unique place in the history of early Buddhist stupa architecture of South India. A similar freestanding, large, post and lintel type of stone Torana has not been recovered from South India earlier, not even from the well-known early Buddhist sites such as Amaravati, Nagarjunakonda and Kanaganahalli, where we do, however, encounter what I call the Bharhut Sachi type of Toranas represented in relief sculptures from the same sites. This article then contextualizes the unique place of the Fanigeri Torana in the Buddhist stupa architecture of southern India and offers a comparative analysis of the freestanding Torana architecture in relation to Buddhist monuments of northern India. The earliest available freestanding Torana of the Fanigeri type belonged to the Bharhut stupa, roughly the 2nd century BC, and it has the term Torana inscribed on it in Brahmi, and is presently located at the Indian Museum, Kolkata, as a lot of us know. An inscription on the Bharhut Torana records that it was erected during the period of the Shungas, the 2nd century BC. It has 2 upright pillars with pairs of lions seated on bell capitals. It has 3 architraves which bear scenes of worship of the Buddha. The manner of construction suggests simulation of wooden prototypes. Of similar form are the Toranas of the famous Buddhist stupas of Sanchi near Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh, 1st century BC to 1st century AD. Of these, the 4 Toranas belonging to the Mahastupa or Stupa 1 at Sanchi are the most well-known and the most intricately and profusely carved. The pillars as well as the inner and outer faces of the 3 architraves, which are carved in great detail, and include scenes from the Jatakas as well as those from the life of the Buddha and some other important events associated with Buddhism. Among the Jatakas, the Vesantara Jataka on the northern Torana, the Chadanta Jataka, which is expressed more than once, are perhaps the best known. Scenes from the life of the Buddha, the great departure, for instance, at the top, and other scenes like Ashoka's visit both to Bodh Gaya and to the Ramagrama Stupa, as well as scenes that belong to the period after the Buddha's Mahaparinirvana, such as the war for the relics, and the visit of Ashoka also falls in that category. Scenes of Mara Vijaya, enlightenment. So from the life of the Buddha, you do have scenes, but there isn't a single narrative emerging here the way that it appears on the Phanigiri Torana, as I will just come to. In the Deccan and southern India, interestingly, until the remarkable discovery of the Phanigiri Torana remains, we did not have any surviving examples of the Bharut Sanchi Torana type. However, the situation is quite different when it comes to an investigation of sculptural reliefs from important Buddhist sites from the region, notably Nasik Vihara 3, also Amaravati and Nagarjuna Konda. So this type of Torana is ubiquitously present, but in relief sculpture and not as a freestanding element. At Nasik Vihara 3, a Bharut Sanchi type of Torana with a single architrave is applied to the entrance door frame. This and the presence of several such miniature Toranas in sculptural reliefs from sites such as Amaravati and Nagarjuna Konda suggest that the Bharut Sanchi type of Torana was well known in southern India. Phanigiri, however, offers the first freestanding example of such a Torana in stone. Coming to its formal characteristics and to the narrative of the Phanigiri Torana. After looking at the sculptures on site, after visiting the site, and after the great amount of effort put in by the Department of Archaeology and Museums, particularly Srimati Vishalakshi, I had the opportunity to look at a whole lot of fragments, and my suggestion is that there were not two but three architraves. As we just saw, the three architrave variety is also well known from sculptural relief in the region. You have at its extremities hybrid creatures, a griffin figure, an elephant figure, and a lion figure. So there actually were, to my mind, and I still need to test it further, three architraves and not two. And one of the questions that comes to mind is these architraves are so solid, so huge, and so heavy. And Phanigiri is located atop a hillock, unlike Nagarjuna Konda, which was submerged, and Amaravati, which is not atop a hillock. Where did such heavy architraves? We should be having more pieces if we look further into this. Now, these architraves, of course, offer the most exquisite and detailed visual narrations of the Buddha's life episodes and scenes that appear to depict groups of monks, a royal procession, and serpent worship. Apart from the biography of the Buddha, that is. Peter Skilling has written about these narratives, particularly those relating to the life of the Buddha in 2008. And as per his forte, he had analyzed a whole lot of texts alongside and come to the conclusion that these narratives don't really fit in with any of the texts that are available relating to the biography of the Buddha. Coming to the first scene, the birth of the Buddha, this is carved typically similar to the Amaravati and Nagarjuna Konda ones, which is not the case for all the rest that follow. But it is carved on the die of what I have termed the first architrave that appears to issue forth from the mouth of a hybrid Makara creature at the start of a sequence of related scenes that must have followed. Unfortunately, as we can all see, the architrave is detached and hence disconnected from the rest of the narratives. The Bodhisattva's mother, Maya Devi, stands under a tree holding its branch with her right hand. 4 guardians of the cardinal directions receive the newborn on a cloth. Quite similar in its approach to the depiction at Amaravati. Also carved on the die of one of the Torana architraves is the scene of the presentation of the newly born to the tutelary deity of the Shakyas, who is shown emerging from his shrine. It's a very nicely detailed shrine structure from which the tutelary deity is shown to emerge. The Bodhisattva has been indicated symbolically, and the cloth is held by the Devas, upon which he is then received. The deity, in recognition of the Bodhisattva, offers salutation to the newborn. Once again, the depiction comes close to Amaravati and Nagarjuna Konda, with, of course, subtle variations in the manner of depiction. The next set of scenes in the continuous narrative mode recall the Bodhisattva as a young prince who sets out of his palace in a chariot and encounters 3 difficult realities of the human condition, represented by the sight of a sick man, an old man, and here, very, very beautifully shown, a dying man or a dead man. Witnessing these scenes becomes an important marker in the Bodhisattva's life, for this brings to him the realization of the temporariness and frailty of human existence, leading him to commence on his journey for the true meaning of life. Appropriately, the witnessing of these life-changing encounters for the Bodhisattva has been given pride of place on the architrave. The following 2 scenes depict the meditation of the young prince under a tree, in some texts the Jambu tree, and the Bodhisattva's last night in the palace, this one, and how beautifully detailed is the rendition prior to the Bodhisattva's departure, the scene of the last night in the palace, in Siddhartha's last night in the palace. Now, I was able to locate 2 separate Torana fragments, out of which I have put one. These are lying separately and are not really considered part of the Torana, but they fall very well in the sequence of the biography of the Buddha, and is perhaps a continuation of this very architrave itself. It shows the scene of the great departure, or Maha-Abhinishkramana. The front leg of the horse is visible, and here they are the Devas holding up his, receiving him. this one is waiting to receive. Coming to the next architrave, the architrave number 2, this depicts scenes of enlightenment and victory over Mara or Mara Vijaya. The daughters of Mara, and here is Mara himself. This is broken, and this would have shown him one of the hands in Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. Some of the scenes that are missing prior to this scene are the ones that the broken parts of the architrave would have had, like the offering of the Payasam by Sujata, and all those scenes that have not yet been found. I do hope that they are recovered. Also in continuation is the offering of the bowls by the 4 kings. The 4 kings are visible here, offering bowls to the Buddha, and then he converts it into one. And then the last scene on the curvature of the architrave is showing the offering of food by Tapusa and Bhallika, the 2 merchants. And then coming to the die, you have a very, very beautiful depiction of the Dharma Chakra Pravartana, or the turning of the wheel of law in motion. That is beautiful timing. I just need 2 more minutes. I have so far discussed the architraves from, discussed 2 architraves with both just one side of the 2 architraves plus some loose fragments. I'm still working out the reconstruction of this piece, and I would like to go more in depth into it. But the outer faces have the life of the Buddha. The inner faces, interestingly, are replete with depictions of monks and with depictions of some sort of a serpent worship. Fanigiri is the name of the hillock, remember? And also the inscription that was referred to by our colleague in the pre-lunch session, mentioning the erection of the Dharma Chakra. A lot of these depictions seem to also visually portray what is mentioned in that inscription. So this is work in progress, and this is a tough one because it is quite unlike, whereas the biography scenes are nowhere seen on Torana architraves in such beautiful continuous narrative. These are novelties completely. Okay, some concluding observations. The Fanigiri Torana is the only freestanding stone Torana of the Bharut Sanchi type in stone found from southern India. Judging by their depictions in early Buddhist relief sculptures from the Deccan and South India, such Toranas appear to have been well known in the region. Their complete absence in southern India as freestanding Toranas, with the exception of the one from Fanigiri, seems to suggest that perhaps the more prevalent tradition in the south may have been to construct it in wood. The sequential rendition of Buddha's biography on the Fanigiri Torana architraves offers a unique opportunity to study the sequence of events as these were understood in the region. However, it is not possible to arrive at a direct textual correlation for the visual renditions. Skilling has already gone in depth into this. At Sachi, scenes from the Buddha's biography are represented quite differently on the Torana architraves as compared to Fanigiri. A single event such as the Maha-Abhinishramana or Mara Vijaya occupies the entire architrave at Sachi. At Fanigiri, the narrative seems to unfold systematically and in a continuous narrative to tell us the entire story, more the sadness about the lost fragments. Despite considerable stylistic and iconographic affinities with the art of Amaravati and Nagarjunakonda, the Fanigiri Toranas do throw up newer motifs and subject matter in the depiction both of Buddha's life scenes as well as the depiction of the monks. In addition, several scenes depicting serpent worship are also present. The artistic merit of the Fanigiri Torana and its exceptional architectural and sculptural qualities indeed afford it a unique place in early Indian Buddhist art and architecture, bringing me once again back to Toranas after some decades. I am extremely grateful to the Department of Archaeology and Museums Telangana. I have never received such dynamic support anywhere else, and I think that if this is the trend, then the research of heritage in Telangana really has a very bright future. Thank you, and especially thank you, Srimati Vishalakshmi.